Happy New Year, everyone! Which means it's time to discuss what Nintendo's got going on this year, both everything we know and everything we don't. Probably split up into two videos, but we'll see. In any case, in this one, we're touching on everything we do know, including all the game announcements, Switch 2 editions, movies perhaps, and by movies I mean really movie at this point this year, and anything else we have to discuss. So let's just dive into it, because there is a lot going on, a surprising amount, considering there are at least 8 games we know about so far, being published by Nintendo. Not even counting on Switch 2 editions, which is kind of crazy, so we know a fair amount, which actually does concern me a little bit, but I'll get to that in a little bit here. So, how are we feeling, though, everyone, overall about Nintendo in 2026 so far? I know, Nick, you got some thoughts on this.
Yeah, I'm excited because they have a lot to look forward to, and they're continuing that momentum from 2025 to 2026 with the Switch 2. But on the other hand, I'm like, where is their new surprises? Because I feel like this is one of the first years that we know so much from Nintendo right off the bat, right, starting off the year. So it's like, Are they really hiding anything for the later half of the year? They have to be. But at the same time, like Andre, you said, we know of like 8 games already, and that's a lot to know of.
Yeah, if there's one per month, that's most of the year already.
Yeah.
It's also interesting because, like I mentioned before in another discussion, like the first half of this past year was almost just 2 games. And then with Switch 2, everything accelerated. So it sort of makes sense that they have a lot more stuff going now than they had in the first half of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the opposite, like you said, Don. Like, we're starting off the year super heavy, and then maybe later half of the year might be a little bit slower, but I don't think that's the case for Nintendo.
No.
Then again, like, we know so much already for this year. Andre, does that concern you at all?
Well, yeah, so a couple things about this. One, even though we know a lot of games, we don't have a lot of specific release dates yet, more like release windows. Even some of the Switch 1 games, or I think actually all the Switch 1 games, don't have exact release dates for, right?
No.
Of which there's 2. And that also concerns me a little. I mean, not concerns me, but I think it's a little sad that it seems like the Switch, this may be the end of the line for the Switch this year, right? Nintendo's already said that they're gearing up, ramping up on Switch 2 game production rather than Switch 1, which means this may be the end of the road. This may be the official last year of like truly new Switch 1 games from Nintendo, which is, bittersweet in its own right. But that aside, here's why it concerns me. Well, first off, the good news, right? As you're saying, they're continuing the momentum. I think objectively, like, they have a lot going on, including Switch 2 edition, some of which, look interesting, and that's all good stuff. Like, that's great. These games will definitely appeal to some people. I look at this list, I feel almost nothing. I feel almost nothing for anything here. There's some things like I'll be, mildly interested in checking out. Whether it's, I'll be honest. I think the Bella Bella Park or whatever for Wonder 2, that actually looks kind of fun. I like the Versus stuff going on, or it's maybe even co-op. That looks cool. But then I look at something like Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. I just could not care less about that game. Like, it looks adorable, don't get me wrong, but I can already tell that gameplay is going to put me to sleep. Mario Tennis Fever. Another freaking Camelot Mario Tennis game. Camelot's not made a great game in decades at this point, when it comes to the Mario sports games. I'm not excited for this. It looks like another gimmick-laden Mario Tennis game that I will play for a little bit and just never return to again. Probably. Right. I mean, maybe it'll blow me away.
Small pushback on that. I do think that Aces was, mechanics-wise, one of the best games they released in ages. Like,
I don't disagree. I don't think that's that great of a... that says a lot about them,
yeah.
though,
Yeah, but I definitely think like the back and forth in Aces feels really good. And the fact that they're not building on that is more concerning to me than anything else.
I actually fully agree with that. I think Aces, I didn't love how Aces did it, but I would say it was an interesting idea. Whereas what they're doing with Fever, it's just another power meter. It's like, oh, you power up your racket, you get a special ability again, and just tons of rackets, which... I don't know. Like, I feel like they're out of ideas from Mario Tennis. They had the one idea in Aces, and then they didn't run with it. And it's like, I wish they would just do a different sports game, or, find the energy they had back in the 64 and GameCube days. And it's like, I just don't want to play another Mario Tennis game that is just, layered with gimmicks. Anyways, I don't want to belabor the point too much. Splatoon Raiders, potentially really interesting. I don't know enough about that game to say one way or the other at this point. That one could be, a high point, though. Otherwise, the rest of the games here, I know they have their audience, and I'm excited for people who do. They're not from series that have historically interested me much. I'm not a Fire Emblem guy. So, unfortunately for me, personally, at this point, there's not a whole lot that's interesting me, and that's disappointing.
So, well, Andre, there's one that you're missing out on. which
What?
I guess it's not really like technically a game, and I know it's probably your most exciting thing for the first half of the year, being the Virtual Boy, right? Like that comes out in February. I think that's going to be like your most exciting thing to look forward to for the first half.
No, you're 100% right. I'm actually pretty excited for it. Even though I fully acknowledge the Virtual Boy library isn't that great. There aren't even that many games to play.
Yeah.
But I do love the idea that that thing exists. Like, I'm actually really happy about it. Some people may look at it as like a money grab or something. I'm like, what are you talking about? Almost no one's going to buy these things, you know? Virtual Boy, this is a very niche item, and I'm happy it exists. I will pick it up. I will play it. I already have a Virtual Boy, though mine doesn't work anymore, sadly, because Tom broke it. and I'm excited for that it exists. So, like, from a preservationist standpoint, at the least, I think it's cool that that exists, and I'm happy that they're doing that. So, when it comes to actual, like, Switch 2 new games and stuff, not a whole lot here yet that's interesting me, which is why I'm hopeful there'll be more announcements down the line, which we'll get into part 2, of course.
For me, it's the most opposite reaction possible, right? Because for the majority of the stuff, I actually really look forward to it. And there's not much for me to add, really, that I am personally not interested in. To say, I'm not... Of the things that they announced, I'm the least interested in Yoshi in the Mysterious Book and Mario Tennis Fever.
Yeah.
It's just... Like Yoshi looks cute, but other than that, I don't have the faintest idea of how this will play in an actual gameplay perspective. And with Fever, I already touched on it. Like, Aces was a game that I really, really liked. I even played it again over the weekend. I really, really enjoyed it. But, like, as somebody who liked Aces, Fever doesn't really necessarily appeal to me because it moves so far away from what I liked about Aces that I have the opposite reaction. I'm like, I'm not interested in this.
Yeah. There's something about those games, real quick, the Camelot sports games these days, they just feel really generic, despite how many gimmicks they add. They just look, I don't know, dull? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is.
And I think my hope for Mario Tennis Fever, at least, is that the story mode is a little bit more intricate compared to the story mode from the last game, the last Mario Tennis game. Especially if you look at the Mario Tennis game on Game Boy Advance, like that had like a whole like stat system, and you're like leveling up your character. But again, I need to see a little bit more from Mario Tennis. Same thing with like Yoshi. But my fear for Yoshi, it's going to fall into that category of Princess Peach Showtime kind of game, which the game is interesting, but it falls flat because of its mechanics. Like, it's a very simplistic game, and that's my fear for Yoshi. I think it's going to come around that March 20th timeline or time date for release. But again, do you have something, Andre?
But just based on what we've seen so far, I think Princess Peach Showtime was a more interesting game than the Yoshi game. Like, for me personally, like, I guess the thing is, you know, people often say Nintendo games are for babies, you know, they're trolls or whatever. This is one of those few games that does feel like it's designed for babies. You know, like, they're definitely gearing it for a younger audience. That's completely fine, and I could be wrong. Maybe it'll appeal to everyone still. It's just that, like, I played those kind of games already, you know, like, kind of like the Yoshi Story or the Kirby and the Yarn game, Epic Yarn. Thank you. You know, and that pace of gameplay just doesn't suit my style. And you know, maybe it'll surprise me. I think it looks gorgeous, but I can already tell from the music. Like, I know exactly what they're aiming for. I'm like, oh man, this isn't it. You know, so
yeah. Speaking of music, I am tremendously excited about Rhythm Heaven Groove. That series. The last game was released in 2016, which is almost 10 years ago now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a long time.
And like the main composer of that game had some medical rough patches, so I never thought that the series would come back and to begin with. And the fact that he overcome his illness and now he's coming back with a new game where he's composing all the music again, that's honestly like the most tremendous story out of this. And then on the other side of the end, I think Tomodachi Life getting a new game is tremendously funny.
Because I don't know if anyone expected that, but I knew there was a lot of hype for it. Like, a lot of people were hoping it would come back, but I don't think anyone actually expected it to.
No, it's such a weird social game with you actually using the Mii's in such a proactive environment. And the fact they're taking it in a different direction looks really intriguing to me. But obviously, we haven't seen much. We haven't seen what those actual rooms or what you can do with the actual Mii characters yet. So for me, it's coming in spring, so it's coming relatively soon. I'm just waiting to see how this will turn out, and I look forward to seeing how it will turn out.
Well, and that's kind of the case for a lot of games here. Like, we know they exist, we know that some of the base level expectations, but not even that in some cases. Like Splatoon Raiders, we don't even fully really know what that game even is at this point. And
Sure.
it could be an amazing game. You know, I'm intrigued by it. I'm just not excited at this point, but I haven't seen enough to excite me. But that could be something special. You know, especially depending on when it launches. In that, you know, hopefully, I'm hoping it's earlier in the year because I need something to latch onto for Switch 2. I think.
Funny enough, the two things we know the most about are the new update for New Horizons, which feels weird that they're gonna go back to it after 4.5 years, and Pokopia, which they released like 3 trailers for.
Right.
And the crazy thing about that is that those games are so similar to each other, and there's not a lot of time between them. It's January 5th or not March 5th for Pokopia, and then January 15th for Animal Crossing for the new update. So I was so shocked to see those two like back to back. They're giving us only 2 months to play those games right off of each other. But again, like you said, Don, like we know so much about these two games that I think these are games that I'm going to be playing for the majority of the first half of the year, especially Pokemon. Like I think. My fear is for that game is I really hope that there's something that kind of like catches me on, I guess like a system or like you're doing chores or activities that actually build something in the long run. I know like you're building a city or building a town just like Animal Crossing, but that's what kind of had me fall off of Animal Crossing. It's like I felt like I'd seen everything, I'd done everything after 200 hours. So I hope Pokopia have something that helps those long running players or those people that want to stick out for it for the very long time.
Pokopia seems more structured, and obviously this is Koei Tecmo. They also made for Square Enix Dragon Quest Builders, which also had the beginning and an end. So I feel this is a far more structured game than Animal Crossing ever will be.
Koei Tecmo, when are we getting Pokemon Pokopia Warriors or whatever?
Hey, no joke. I want them to step out of the bag of the Zelda Warriors games.
Yep.
I want them to step out of the Fire Emblem Warriors games. Xenoblade next. Pokemon would be awesome. Just having like 100 Pokemon, like 100 Magikarps on the screen, and you just killing them with Pikachu.
That would be amazing. Oh man. Let's see. I will say, to your point, you touched on Rhythm Heaven Groove, Dawn, and it's not a game I get like, super excited for, but I am glad it exists, and I will play it. Like that could be a really fun game. My main problem is I'm not very good at rhythm games, so
that's fair enough.
That's usually a barrier. But I think which version was it? The last one was that the 3DS one? I think they found a good difficulty curve there, like where I didn't get roadblocked as I did on the Wii version. Like the freaking monkey clock sunk me on the Wii version. So hopefully, as long as I can, get past the ones that I'm terrible at, I think this could be a really good time.
The rhythm of Monkey Clock was always ever weird, and I never really liked it. Even as somebody who loves Fever on Wii, I never liked Monkey Clock to begin with. But I digress.
Even though I'm terrible about it, there was something about it that really resonated with me, to the point that I made a really dumb kind of TikTok thing. If you go to the GameXplain TikTok and look up, I'll link it in the description. I made a fun little swiping game where you have to sync your movement to the clock. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's 30 slides long, and you can see how well you're doing it, even though there's only one grade at the end. In any case,
but Rhythm Heaven it just looks great, and I think like a game that actually is on console, which is the first console game since the Wii one. Is actually very exciting.
It is. I will definitely concede that. So, anything else that stands out to us that we know about this year?
I mean, Bellabelle Park is interesting, isn't it?
I think it is. I think it's conceptually interesting. I'm curious to see how much replayability I get out of it. And they did tease some more. So far they focused on the multiplayer events, right? But they teased even more beyond that at the end, didn't they?
Yes,
I believe so.
Like, there's also single player content which they tease in the last 20 seconds or so. Mm-hmm. But never explained what it means. It's like, hey, the Koopa Kids are here. Okay, sure, great.
Yeah, I mean that could be cool or it could be lame, right? Yeah, like what's that mean? So I wonder, like, do you think maybe are there new worlds, or do you think they may update existing worlds to account for the Koopalings, or?
There would at least be new boss fights, because man, that game needed more boss fights.
It did. It's so funny. Like, people are kind of getting sick of the Koopalings. Like, it's like we needed the Koopalings for this game, and now here they are. Maybe a little bit late, but perhaps it'll help make up for that issue.
When you needed them the most, they returned.
That's how they function. I love it. So yeah, I'm actually really curious to see how well these mini games play. Like some of them look really cute. Like I like the little hide and seek game that they have where you yeah, that looks neat. There were some co-op games that look like they could be fun. I'll be honest, the ones that appeal to me the most are the versus type of games. So I'm really hoping there's a good selection there that is fun. So this is kind of like a kind of like it could go either way for me game. Like it could be the kind of thing I played once and never really returned to, or it could be like really addictive and pulls me back, especially if I start looping into our weekly streams that we do on the channel. You know, it could be a lot of fun. So yeah.
And not to mention, like, the multiplayer for Super Mario Bros. Wonder is fantastic. Like, I played that game. I was jumping in, jumping out with Zach, doing co-op in that. So, like, I have no doubt that the multiplayer in this is going to function really well for online. And I'm definitely going to test it offline as well.
Yeah. It really comes down to just learning more about like what the single player content is going to be about, because I feel like they sort of glanced it over in favor of the multiplayer stuff, which fair enough. It's called Meet Up in Bellabelle Park, but also new levels. Really nice. Tell us more. No, we won't. Okay, fine.
That's why, I mean, that's the part that almost concerns me a little bit, right? Like, how deep is that single-player content? Because you think they would highlight that more in the title and the trailer, were to be a big focus. So maybe you'll be surprised, but I'm kind of leaning toward it being almost like, you know, a very small part of the overall package. So
yeah, my fear is maybe they just drop the Koopalings and like levels that you already played, and maybe that's how they tie in the new levels. They add maybe like a wonder mechanic to those previous levels, and it's like, oh, and then you fight the Koopaling at the end. So.
We'll see. Maybe it'll surprise us. I'm surprised no one... I'm not surprised for myself because I'm not a Fire Emblem guy, but I haven't heard too much of it from you two, even though I know at least one of you is big on Fire Emblems. How are we... how are you feeling about it?
I mean, the trailer didn't show us that much. There was a lot of intrigue because of how the characters and how they interact with each other, and especially the end, because it seems to hint at a connection to Free Houses, which was the last big popular one for most people. So... that really intrigues me. Like gameplay wise, like it's the most of the games in this list. I need to see more what it actually entails.
Right.
It feels a bit too early to make a full judgment on it. I'm interested for sure, but I want to see more of it first of all.
Well, and kind of to that point, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot that we still don't know about a fair amount of these games. When do you think we're gonna find out more? Like, will there be a direct in the next few weeks?
I mean, they have to do one like in February, right? That makes the most sense to me.
Right?
Yeah, I think February they have to do one right before the Pokemon Day one, right? Like maybe they'll space it out 2 weeks from each other. But then again, like Mario, maybe they do it right before Mario Tennis Fever comes out. I was wondering that because they'll have a lot to talk about, or a lot of stuff coming out that month on top of Mario Tennis Fever, the Pokemon Day, and then the Virtual Boy coming out in February as well.
Right.
But guys, they need to do the daily drops on Nintendo Today.
Oh my god!
Freaking Nintendo Today. We'll never escape it.
Yeah, they need to do the daily drops for Mario Tennis Fever.
Oh my god! You see every racket, one racket every day or whatever, right? They're gonna make a racket about the rackets.
In 3D.
In 3D, yes. All right, there is one other, at least one other game we haven't really touched on yet, but it's kind of an odd one of the bunch in that being the Dusk Bloods, because it's not developed by Nintendo, it's developed by From Software, but it is being published by Nintendo.
Yes.
So, From Software games aren't usually my style of games, but how about you two? Are you guys like looking forward to this one, or?
So I am, and I'm not at the same time, because I don't do too well in Souls games, but I do try them out. My first one that I ever tried was Bloodborne, and this is more of like a Bloodborne type situation, at least how it's handled, published, and developed. Because with Bloodborne, it came out on PS4 and it was published by Sony. But again, like, who's the developer? Why can't I think of it? FromSoft has never touched it since. Same thing with Sony. So I think maybe they had the idea of, it's like, oh, let's kind of make a Bloodborne-esque too. I say that in quotes. And maybe they were working along Nintendo with this, because Nintendo is publishing it. And the thing is, it is not a Nintendo game at all. Like, you look at this game, and you know what you're getting into when you're playing a Souls game, right? Like, it's very difficult. Yep. I mean, it's bloody at times. It's gruesome. There's, like, these giant monsters and creatures that would never fit in a Nintendo game. So it is completely out of left field. And that's why I'm excited about it, because, again, this is not something Nintendo would touch. So I think they have faith in this game. I'm a little bit excited about it. Even though I haven't finished Elden Ring yet, I'm at the final boss, and that game just drove me crazy. So I hope this game's a little bit easier than Elden Ring, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a pretty difficult game.
Yeah, I only had like partial experiences with their Souls games. I mean, I played Bloodborne, and I'm really excited because it looks like Bloodborne.
Yeah.
But other games I kind of struggled with to finish. So I'm wondering how I will fare with this one if I'm being completely 100% fair.
So, Don, did you struggle? Like, what was the aspect that you struggled with? Was it just the difficulty of the Souls games?
It's the difficulty up front.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of big hurdles to overcome. Like early on, once you get to the middle, it actually gets a bit more palpable and doable.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
like the first couple of hours, I was just struggling, and I don't necessarily feel that's fun to really struggle because you need to be engulfed by a game from the get-go.
Right.
For sure.
So it's not necessarily my type of game. I still enjoyed what I played of those. It's just not my type of game I would play.
I think where I fell short the most, outside of the difficulty of those games, is like the overall controls. Like I couldn't get used to rolling all the time, and there's times where I'm rolling and like, wait a minute, I thought I dodged this attack. But yeah, no, again, I'm excited for this. I don't know where you kind of slot this game in the year, on top of like Elden Ring getting delayed, right? Because the Elden Ring port, I think, was supposed to come out in 2025, and now it's delayed to 2026. So again, I don't know where you kind of slate this, the first half of the year, the second half of the year, because we've only seen one trailer for it, too.
Yeah, let's be fair here. It's good that it got delayed. I remember playing it at Gamescom, and
Elden Ring.
demo, and I told Andre straight up, man, that was not good.
I do remember that. Yeah,
Which is a bummer because I heard Final Fantasy VII like remake integrate runs great on Switch 2, but seeing that Elden Ring doesn't run on Switch 2, and I think Elden Ring ran fairly well on Steam Deck. Like you can at least get it running at maybe 30 or 40 frames on there at like a confident, stable frame rate. But yeah, it just stinks to see that Elden Ring on Switch 2 isn't working so well. So again, glad that it's getting delayed. When does that come out? Probably before the Dust Bloods, which I don't know. They just said 2026 for that game, so we don't have a concrete release date for it yet.
Yeah, that's another reason why we need that early year direct. They really have to start ironing out like the actual release dates here. We only know a handful, and there's a lot that they need to really kind of like establish here. So
it's a weird position, right? Because we know a lot about 2026, which is unusual for Nintendo. If you look back at the last, say, 4 years, we would know about 3 or 4 games that would come up in that next year. Now we know about 11, including like Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy, yeah.
Which is really weird, but it also puts them in a position where they need to follow up on so much in such a short amount of time, because they're saying, oh, this is coming out in spring, this is coming out in March, this is coming out very early in 2026, and they haven't said anything yet.
No, you're exactly right, and reading it that way, like there are basically 11 games, because you could consider the Switch 2 editions effectively games in and of themselves.
Yeah,
even if we may not all view it that way ourselves, but I think a lot of people would, or at least new consumers definitely would. It's like, man, how much room is there even left for like things we don't know, right? And we'll be talking on that very soon. But it does make me wonder, like, man, you guys have a full release schedule so far, seemingly, unless anything gets delayed. It's like, what else is there? But before we get into that, I think we've touched on most things here, but I am curious real quick, what excites you the most on this list personally? Don, let's start with you. What are you most excited for on the things we do know?
I mean, I already mentioned Rhythm Heaven Groove, so I'm not going to do it again, but Splatoon Raiders also really excites me. Like, they're taking the single player approach they did in like the DLC and like the main campaign of Free, and sort of building a different style around it, which feels a bit more roguelike-y or more action adventure in a way. But obviously we don't know enough about that game. I assume we're going to hear more about it when the next time it comes up.
Yeah, I think I'm actually shocked it took them this long to do a true Splatoon spin-off, because there's so much you can do in that universe, I feel like. I'm really surprised it took them this long to finally start exploring that. So once they blow that out, I could see that being potentially a really exciting game this year. So, but it's not my most excited. I'll get to that in a second. Nick, how about you?
Yeah, so I think I have a couple on this list, outside of what Don already mentioned with Splatoon Raiders. Like, I am excited for Mario Tennis Fever. I still play tennis, like, in real life from time to time, so it's fun playing, like, a virtual game of that. My hope is, I just wish they nailed the multiplayer, or the single-player story mode. I hope it's a little bit more interesting than the last Mario Tennis game, where I played through it, I'm like, okay, I think you unlock a racket maybe at the end. Like, there's nothing really that you're playing for it throughout the story. It's very basic.
Do you remember when they patched in the story into the story mode?
That's the thing. It sounds like it's crazy because I'm like, when I think about it, I'm like, wait a minute, was there a story mode for that game? I'm like, no, I remember seeing cutscenes for it, but it came after the game came out.
We famously posted it on the channel when it happened.
We did.
It's like, and I was like, they had a new cutscene, and you were like, what? I was like, and I said, they added voice clips of Mario and Luigi, a game from 2003.
That's crazy. Yeah, that was wild. What wild times that was, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It almost feels like, no pun intended, like a fever dream. Because again, like I think about it, like, did it really have a story mode? No, I definitely played something there. So again, I hope they nail the story mode for Mario Tennis Fever. I'm excited for Pokemon, the Pokopia, however you want to say it, because I've been playing more of the Pokemon spin-off games, which I think they've been nailing it over like the mainline games. Like I really got into Pokken Tournament. I really got into Pokemon Unite, so this being a similar style to kind of like Animal Crossing and Minecraft, like, is right up my alley. Again, I just hope there's a lot there for the long term of this game, and I hope they support it over a good amount of years. Like, I hope it's not like an Animal Crossing situation where it's like, here's one update, we're done, see you guys later. Like, I hope there's actually stuff coming from them.
That actually reminds me, there's actually a game we're missing on this list. It's Pokemon Champions.
Oh yeah, we did miss out on Pokemon Champions. We haven't mentioned that at all, speaking of Pokemon.
Yeah, that's another game that's also coming out next year, so technically it's 12.
12, jeez. Completely forgot about that.
But Pokemon Champions is their way of that you can battle on mobile Switch and Switch 2. And it's going to be for our Pokemon tournaments, so official ones. It's going to be the way they're going to play out actual Pokemon battles in the future, so they're not going to use mainline games anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're kind of switching to that, like a dedicated app, but it makes complete sense for them to do it, because again, you'll be able to play it on mobile, you'll be able to play it on Switch 1, Switch 2, so it's great that you're able to play that no matter what platform you're on. Yeah. And I guess the last thing I want to talk about, I guess the last two games, which we already kind of covered, are Fire Emblem.
I said most excited, not the entire list,
it's okay. So I guess, okay. All in all, I'm excited for what they have this year, because again, we already know so much, but I'm more excited about the games that we don't know, which we're going to cover in a little bit. But Andre, I guess, what's your most excited game or thing that we know of? I say thing because we already mentioned the Virtual Boy.
It's a Virtual Boy. Actually, so, okay, real quick, I am intrigued by what Splatoon Raiders could be. I just need to find out more what that actually is.
Sure.
You know, the Switch 2 edition of Mario Wonder, that could be fun, so need to, again, play that one for myself. But the Virtual Boy, I just never thought they would go back to that well. It's amazing that exists. There are actually, despite my joke earlier, there are actually some really fun games on the Virtual Boy. It's more that it was inconvenient to play. But I think it's awesome that there is an opportunity to revisit those games. And I definitely will be. Like, Wario Land is a great game. But actually, this might be the better Mario Tennis. We're getting potentially a better Mario Tennis game on the Virtual Boy app than on the Switch 2. So we'll have to wait and see. Mario Clash is another fun one. And, you know, Red Alarm, not a great game, but a fun one at the least to revisit. So I think it's really cool that exists. However, I do want to use this as a segue to one big thing we haven't touched on this year. It's a thing I'm actually most excited for. It's not even a freaking game. It's a movie. The Super Mario Galaxy movie. I cannot wait for this. Everything they've shown so far has gotten me really interested, which obviously I already was. I'm a huge fan of the first movie. I figured they would, you know, do a great job with a second one. From what we're seeing so far, that seems like it could be the case, though obviously we can't judge in full until we actually see it. But I'm really excited for it. I cannot wait to see what they're actually cooking up here. And there were some recent leaks about the movie, like based on the toys that came out, that hint at some things that I didn't even expect would happen, involving at least two characters. I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen there? So I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to see more of this. There'll probably be a new trailer very soon, I would imagine, within the next few weeks. By February at the absolute latest, I would think. And yeah, I just can't wait to find out more. So there'll probably be another direct focused on the movie as well, I would expect, I think, I think they did with the first movie too. They think they had a couple directs for it, didn't they? So
yeah, they definitely had a couple directs. And like you said, Andre, we're getting close to, I think, like the Super Bowl. I felt like there was an ad or like a trailer or something that we saw at the Super Bowl, or like maybe playoffs for football or something that we saw something brand new. Because I feel like it was maybe like Cat Mario we saw for the first time, and they just randomly had it like on like a TV ad. I'm like, wait a minute, this is what they're showing here?
I think you might be right. Yeah, that was wild. So I'm so stoked for this. I can't wait to find out more. Hopefully it won't be long.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Any other thoughts real quick on what we do know for 2026, or should we move on to our hopes and predictions for the rest of the year that we don't know about?
Yeah, I guess the last thing for 2026, it's the complete opposite of the start of 2025. Because with 2025, I think all we had was Donkey Kong Country Returns HD and Xenoblade. And that was it for the first half of the year. And then it's like Switch 2, here's all the news, here's all the games. So again, just a complete opposite, a 180 from what they did last year.
It really is. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. So we'll have to wait and see what actually does end up happening for the rest of the year that we don't know about, which we'll be discussing very soon in part 2 of this video, so stay tuned to that, everyone. With that, thank you for watching. Click subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you're all having a happy new year, and we'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.